Hello, welcome back to What Remains of Edith Finch. I'm J-Sillabub. So I've taken a little bit of a rest just to compose my thoughts about Lewis's chapter because it touched a lot of nerves. It was about, mental health really. I'm not going to pretend I know anything about drug addiction or substance abuse because these are things that I personally have not experienced, and I'm not going to speculate about what the effects are of getting addicted to marijuana. I've heard people say that you can't, but like I say, I'm not going to speculate. But it was very clear from Lewis's chapter that he had probably some mental health issues as a result of it, which were exacerbated massively by the drudgery of his work. We know from playing that he'd graduated from college, so he clearly had some kind of qualifications and was way overqualified to be working in a cannery. And having been in the situation where I've got qualifications but have had to do really mind-numbing, repetitive and just very unstimulating work because circumstances beyond your control, I could entirely sympathise with that. Fortunately, I wasn't having to work with any kind of sharp implements. I'm not going to pretend, though, that as someone who has had mental health problems before, I'm not going to pretend that for various reasons in the course of doing the mind-numbing work that I was doing, I didn't end up having my mind wander. And it doesn't say anything about Lewis explicitly wanting to commit suicide, but I know I did, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that because there's no real reason to. But but yeah, it's just how these things can wear on you. And in terms of other stuff, I like that you had the option of having him pursue either a queen or a prince. So it's quite a nice little touch. But yeah, it was mostly about mental health, and that's a subject which is very close to my own heart, and that's why I find that chapter really very affecting. As much as I find Milton's story to be very there was there was a strong emotional response to Milton's story, but that was heavily because I love The Unfinished Swan so much, and it was so nice to have that tie-in in such an overt way as well. Plenty of games that have allusions to other games by the same company. There's an achievement. There are achievements in Journey for finding the Easter eggs that relate back to both Flow and Flower. But they're just Easter eggs, that's just it. Milton was an entire chapter, and it was just a nice thing for people who were fans of the first, of The Unfinished Swan to indulge in. But Lewis was, I think, very much there for those of us who have had mental health problems and who have wanted that sense of escape. And it's so sad. I guess it's sad because it's not that Lewis was not supported and that he was not getting help, because he was. We had the letter from the psychologist, and clearly his mother was concerned about him. His family loved him, and the letter said that the people around him loved him. It's just that everything was just too strong for him. Yeah, I honestly thought it was going to be get distracted and cut your hand off kind of thing. I didn't think it was disappear into a fantasy world and end up decapitating yourself kind of deal. Anyway, so those are my thoughts on it. They're still a little bit... I'm still sort of working through what I think of it, I guess. So I guess my thoughts are a bit unfiltered in that regard, but yeah. That was a great chapter. I'm really, really enjoying this game. I can't stress enough how much you know, I didn't really know very much about this game when I started playing it. I'd literally seen the trailer like 2 days before it was released, so I didn't really know what I was going for. It was just it's by the people who made the Unfinished Swan, and I like that sort of game, so I'm going to play this. I think this has been a far more rewarding experience than I realised it ever was going to be. Anyway, so I'm going to continue playing. I know I've spent quite a lot of time talking about that last chapter, so I think I may actually divide it at this point. So, well, for timing really, because every chapter is taking sort of between 15 to 20 minutes, and I don't want to run too much over that. So I'm going to save at this point, and then when I come back, I will continue playing. See you in a bit.